Let's be honest. Who doesn't love a nice cut of meat, a nice juicy steak, maybe a ribeye? But in today's economy, who can afford anything like that? I know I can't. But I can take 2 New York strips that only cost $16 versus $20 to $40 for one ribeye. And we're going to turn these into juicy, delicious steak dinners. Oh yeah. Look at that. Now, first of all, you want to find a nice cut that has some good marbling to it, like this right here. You know, that's always a good indication that you've got a decent cut of meat here. Yes, this is a cheaper cut. This is a New York strip. Although it is a not so cheap cut, it is still a decent piece of meat at a more budget-friendly price. Now, we're going to do a little bit of prep work on this, and it's going to be a few simple ingredients. We're going to do the main thing. It's going to be our dry seasoning, and that's going to be simply salt and my favorite seasoning, which is Montreal steak. And that is how we're going to get this started. So let's get that moving, let's get going, and let's see what we can do next. Alright, so we're going to put a generous amount of salt. Yes, generous amount, because we want these juices to pull out of this meat. I know someone is saying, oh, that is way too much salt. But the fact is, you want the salt to do its work and to pull those juices out. Oh yeah, I know you're thinking, way too much salt, man, way too much salt. But remember, and I'm going to spread some of this around a little bit. Remember, the salt will do its work. It's going to pull those juices out. It's going to work like a brine, and it's going to begin to make this meat even more juicy, because as it pulls those juices out, then those juices will be reabsorbed back into the meat. And now we're going to do the same thing with our Montreal seasoning. I'm going to go relatively heavy, and then I will kind of distribute that. Kind of get it down into that meat, because there's a reason I want to do that. You'll see what that is momentarily. Now, we're going to take this. We want to get all sides of this meat, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. Alright, both sides are nice and seasoned up, so we're going to take this, we're going to put it in the fridge, and we're going to let it rest for just a little bit while we prepare our next step. Here we go. Alright, our steaks have been sitting in the fridge now for about 10 or 15 minutes. Not a very long time, but let's go ahead and get started with the next step to this, and that is my vacuum sealer. Now, I know not everyone has a device like this in their home, and that is fine, because you don't need it. This is just a little faster way of doing it, and we already have a bag prepped, ready to go. And our next ingredient is this right here, red cooking wine. Oh, I know, before you start crucifying me, yes, it does contain alcohol, and normally I would use just regular red wine. But we're going to use the Holland House red cooking wine for our next step. And guys, let me tell you, first of all, the alcohol will mostly cook out when you begin to cook your steaks. So let's go ahead and grab those steaks. Oh yeah, Ziploc. And you can use Ziploc bags as well. Just process takes a little bit longer. Look at the moisture already. The salt, the seasoning is doing its job. But we want to pull all of that back into the meat. And that is where our friend, the vacuum sealer, is going to come in handy. Again, you can do this with a regular Ziploc bag as well. The process just takes a little bit longer. So let's get started. We're going to show you the next process. Here we go. All right, for the next process, we're basically just going to take this meat, and I'm trying to do this one-handed here while I hold the phone. Look at that, it's already starting to do its work. And we're going to lay this into just a paper plate that I have here. Remember, we're doing this on a budget, using just a cheap paper plate. Oh yeah, let me switch hands here. We're going to let it do its work here. I'm right-handed, so I've got to switch hands. We're going to get some of this red cooking wine onto this steak. Look at that. Oh yeah. I know some of the seasoning is washing off, and that's fine, because it's still mixed into that red wine. Look at this. We're going to take another piece of this other steak here. Look at that. Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Soak up all of that goodness there. Let's lay this back over here onto this plate. Now, I'm just simply going to take what I have here, and I'm going to pour it over these two steaks and let it do its work. Get some of those seasonings off of there. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. All right, ready for the next step. That's right, this right here. We're going to place these steaks into this bag, and we're going to begin the vacuum process. So I'm going to need both hands for this, so I'll be right back. All right, for this process, there's not a need for a lot of the cooking wine. You can see there is some in there, and the vacuum sealer will do its job. It's going to pull all of this up. You want to make sure you keep it away from the edges if you're using a vacuum sealer, because you want to get a tight seal. And I took and kind of, took a napkin and dried off, cleaned off the edges to make sure that I can get a good tight seal. We still have the seasonings. You can see the seasonings on here. So what we're going to do now, you see I kind of made sure that I had a little bit of space around the steaks, and we're about to, oh yeah, prepare this for a delicious steak dinner. Here we go. All right, the trick is you want to make sure you try to squeeze out as much of the air as possible from inside the bag before you start, and then you begin your process. I already have it in, locked, ready to go. So let's get going. We're going to hit vacuum and seal. It's a timed event. Look at that. Oh yeah. All right. Now, let's see. Nice, nice. I'm going to hit this one more time. Now, here we go. Look at this. Ready to go. We're going to place this over into the fridge. Let it rest until we're ready to cook it. Now, there is one downside to this process of using a vacuum sealer, because when you put that much juice into a pack and you're vacuuming it out, it's going to inevitably pull a lot of those excess juices into the tray. Yeah, but that's the downside. But the positive side are nice, tender, juicy steaks. Oh yeah. All right, these have been in the fridge for about 5 or 6 hours now. Now, if I was doing this in a regular Ziploc bag, I probably would let it stay in there overnight, at least, 12 to 24 hours. But the vacuum seal, using that technique, will help to pull in a lot of that seasoning and that moisture into the meat a little bit sooner than doing that. Yes, I could have left it in there, but you know what? I'm in the mood for some steak, so we're going to go ahead and do this a little bit early. I do have my pan preheating here. It is preheating to about medium to medium high heat. Let's see where we're at temperature-wise. And we're about 230, 235 degrees. We're going to give this a moment to heat up. Meantime, we're going to get the steaks ready. Let's get this cut, get it opened up, and get to cooking. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and the oven is set on convection, preheated to 375 because we're going to get a sear going here in the skillet, and then we're going to transfer this to the oven for the continuation of the cook. All right, we are reaching that 450 to 460 mark here. We're going to go ahead and start preparing this. I have the steaks out. Look at that moisture. Oh yeah. Now, Cody and I like our steaks medium well to well, so we're going to go with that tonight. Here we go. Let's get cooking. All right, so we have a little bit of the red cooking wine in our pan. Just a little. I know someone's going to say, oh, that's overkill, but I like it because it gives some extra juiciness to this. Oh yeah, we're going to place it in, get it going down. We're going to let this sit for about 2 minutes each side. Get a nice little sear going on it. I'm going to continue the cooks on these in the oven. Oh yeah, here we go. All right, really quickly, I did raise the temperature back up on this to about a medium to medium high heat, because when I did add the red cooking wine, of course, it brought the temperature down on the pan a little bit. So we're going to get this going. Oh, look at that. Already looks good. Hey, you know what? We need some smell-o-vision because this already smells great. That looks delicious already. I know it doesn't have that crusting on it yet. We're going to take care of that at another stage. Alright, starting to get that nice crusting effect on here. I'm going to take the steak up. Let's flip it one time. Look at that. There we go. Getting that nice charred look. I've already went along the edges of this to give it a nice charring effect. Get that fat rendered. And now we are transferring this over to our cooking rack here. And oh yeah, it already looks and smells absolutely amazing. Alright, in the oven it goes on convection bake at 375. Keep it in here for just a few minutes, and we have it on a raised grate to allow that airflow to get through. That looks good. And in the pan, with all of that crusty goodness that was left over from the steaks, I put a little bit more of that red cooking wine in, let that cook down, added some mushrooms. Yeah, that's for me to go on top of my steak. Cody's not a fan of mushrooms, but yeah, this is going to be so good. Oh yeah. Oh, look at this, guys. Yeah, that looks good. I decided to add a couple of spots of butter on top of these. Oh, just for that extra juiciness, extra flavor. Oh, it's almost time. Man, that looks good and smells good. We really need to invent smell-o-vision, I'm telling you. It's time. Here we go. All right. right, here we go. This is mine. Of course, Cody's is over here. He don't do mushrooms.
Mushrooms are disgusting.
So, I'm going to have him to hold it because I can't do this with both hands. And let's just see how we look here. Oh, that's already, I can tell, nice and tender. Nice and a little pink on the inside. Nice medium well. That is perfect. Here we go. We're going to enjoy this one. Oh yeah. Here we go. Delicious.